We've got a voicemail number. That number is 219-2-DAVID-P. Here's an interesting question from a caller about the intellectual dark web, which we spoke about last week, and Marxism. Take a listen to this.
Hey, David. I just had a quick theory I wanted to share with you, and it's basically this. So with all these intellectual dark web types, really hating on Marx and all this that's been going on, I hadn't really read much of Marx or knew much about what Marx actually said, but because I have an aversion to people like Dave Rubin and Peterson and stuff like that, it just caused me to actually look into Marx more, and I wonder if their fear-mongering about Marx is going to lead to more people looking into Marx in the source material rather than just taking their word for what he says or conflating it with things like Maoism or, Stalinism.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot to that. And so the question is the intellectual dark web, by slamming things like Marxism, turning more people over to Marxism, some of whom say there were some interesting ideas here. I don't know if the intellectual dark web is doing that, but what we do know is that over the last 5 years, socialism has become much more accepted, particularly in society at large in the United States, but also specifically among younger generations. Now, accepted doesn't mean that there are all advocates, that these are all advocates of socialism, but it means that some of the precepts and some of the concepts of socialism or Marxism or whatever are not sort of on their face of no meaning, value, or sort of worth discussion or consideration. So I think that the intellectual dark web, if you hear the intellectual dark web types slam Marxism and you unquestioningly accept it, you probably were already of that mindset to begin with. And there's a chance that you would say, I don't really know anything about Marxism. Let me look into it. And you might inadvertently turn some people over to the ideology or at least into considering it. So I think that there is something to that. And the data reflects that, which is that these ideas, populism as well, as a sort of extension of democratic socialism or social democracy, are more popular than they've been in a very long time. Whether it's the IDW or not, I couldn't really say.
I think it's usually used as a misnomer, though. I think most millennials wouldn't necessarily identify as socialists. They would identify as social democrats or democratic socialists.
Sure.
And so people in the intellectual dark web, people on the right in general, can just put it all in the same group. Oh, you're a socialist? That means you're a communist, and
you're a Marxist.
They go extreme with it, yeah.
You're Mao, which would be the full extension. Yeah, I agree with you. And there's a lot of straw manning going on, I think, to take a term that has become very popular on the right. We've got a great bonus show for you today. We'll talk about Bernie Sanders running for re-election and much, much more. Get access to the bonus show by joining now at joinpakman.com or on Patreon at patreon.com/David Pakman Show.